So our next speaker, well, the truth is he doesn't need an introduction, but I have a card, so I'm going to give him one anyway. You know this gentleman very, very well. He is the one who transforms businesses into unstoppable momentum and lasting success. And as we all know, you need both of those. He has guided multi-million-dollar real estate teams to scale bigger, faster, and with precision, with thoughtfulness, with intention. He's recognized for asking bold questions, and those questions unlock clarity, and they create the exact moves to win big. He is the alchemist that leaders call when they want strategy and transformative positive change. He is the founder of Leverage Consulting, Charlotte BUILD25. Get on your feet for Mr. Kevin Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, would you all agree we are in the people business? Okay? There is nothing in the world of real estate that happens without people. You don't sell houses without buyers. You don't sell houses without sellers. You don't get things done without lenders and measure people and photographers and videographers and everything else, okay? When you went to real estate school, okay, did you ever consider yourself to be a shot caller? Shot caller. Think of it like a coach. Like a general out on the field, like you're the person, okay? Sometimes I think we think of ourselves the wrong way, okay? Because as a real estate agent, you're the one in the middle of this mess. You're the one in the middle that is literally like saying, okay, well, if you don't have your lending squared away, let's get you set up. Your house is not ready, let's get, the guys that come out with the junk trucks, right? We're gonna get all this stuff out of here. Let's get some pods out front. Let's get the landscaper out here. You're the shot caller. You're the coach. You're the one that brings all this stuff together, okay? The problem with sometimes being in the middle is we're dealing with people, okay? So the beauty of it is also the problem with it. And I'm gonna share with you some things that I've been doing with clients for 25 years because when I first started in coaching and consulting, after about 6 months in, I was working for this firm, and at one point I looked at my manager and I said, we get paid what? To do what? Because I feel like all I'm doing is telling people what to do, okay? And I had it all wrong, okay? So you want to change the trajectory of your business, you want to change the trajectory of your clients' lives and everything else, we need to learn how to ask better questions, okay? Back in the 1840s, we had a problem. And the problem was we were losing way too many ladies and way too many babies, okay? And there was this really absurd guy, I think he was Hungarian, and he was like, this doesn't seem right. Why are we losing so many women and so many babies? And then he went to his peers and he said, I think doctors should start washing their hands. Okay? And you know the infant mortality rate and the death rate of the mothers? All because we learned to wash our hands. Somebody asked a question, okay? We also had this guy, Steve Jobs, he said, what if we could have 1,000 songs in our pocket? You remember, what were they, the Apple Nanos or whatever they were, like those little teeny square things you clipped on or what have you? And think about how far things have come. He said, what if we could have 1,000 songs in our pocket? And back when, there's some of us that would remember a time if you had 1,000 songs, it's like 30 or 40 pounds worth of records that you had, okay? So now we have all this on our phone, okay? It changed the trajectory of things. And then, personally, September of 2020, or 21, sorry, I was one of those people. I got like an all expenses paid trip to the hospital with COVID, okay? The first thing, when that doctor walked in my room, the first thing he said to me was, let's talk about a ventilator, okay? And I don't know about you, but when I first went in the hospital, I got checked in, it's like a whole surreal experience, And the first thing he says is like, let's talk about a ventilator. I'm like, I've been checked in for 30 minutes. And this is all you got to talk to me about? Okay? And I asked the question, what are you going to do to keep me off the ventilator? I said, that's the only thing you and I are going to talk about. I'm not listening to anything else. And I started asking questions. Why am I not getting more of this? What are you prescribing for me next? What tests are you running for me next? Okay? I was not like, I could not imagine I got checked into a hospital and there's a real possibility I'm never going to see my wife again. She was sleeping in the parking lot, like waiting for me to come out at some point. But it's like, I can't let this go the way that it is. I'm not going to, quote unquote, live this way and just let this thing ride out. I'm in charge. I'm the frickin' shot caller, okay? So I want you guys to think about how you're going to become the shot caller. And we're going to start with the problem. The problem is what you see on the screen. It's phones. And what do the phones do? The phones are not dialogue. They're supposed to connect people. Phones are supposed to be the kind of thing where people are more readily available. I can have conversations. I can connect with people. And you know what it's turned into? Lee posts something. I don't like that. It's an ugly house. And I share my opinion. You know, Tara talked earlier about, you know, the house that needed the landscaping out back, okay? I just throw it out. It's my comment. It's my opinion. Well, who gives a flying fig about your opinion? That's the problem in today's world, is people are not having conversations. So if you want to have a conversation, you want to change a trajectory, you got to ask better questions, okay? So here's the deal with this. Statements push. That's why they're offensive, okay? I don't even know, like, how many of you want to go shark diving with me? Not many. Okay, I was waiting for Brent, but he's on a Zoom. Because Brent, you know, Brent is also the kind of person, like, numerous times, when we do it to have fun, but we'll say, Brent, you got to come out. You have to ride horses with us. You need to go in the backcountry with us. You need to ride. We need to see grizzlies from horseback. And every time I push like that, the less interested he is in the whole idea of getting on a horse in Montana and riding with the grizzlies. Okay? Not interested. But if I were to say to Brent, what do you think about spending the day with your daughter? I'll get it all coordinated, but if you could spend the day with your daughters in some of the most pristine country in all the US, riding horseback with your daughter, doing something she loves, I'm pretty sure he'd say, I'm down for that. Okay? So, but if I came over to you and I said, dude, we're going horseback riding, what are you going to say? Nope, no thank you, okay? So here's the deal. If you want to win, and this is literally, you screenshot this, take a picture of this, because this is your challenge. This is the challenge I'm leaving you with. This is, to me, it's the crowning achievement when you ask really, really good questions, is you get people to say what you already know. We're human beings. We want to sound smart. Liz can walk into a house and they want to overprice it, and the condition is, okay? And if she walks in and says, you're not going to get that for this house, we need to list it lower, okay? How do you think they're going to receive that? Hey, give me the name for that other lady I saw, okay? That's what they're going to do. But instead, if you were to start asking them questions, and ask them, have you toured any of the other homes in the neighborhood to see the condition they're in? Have you toured any of the other homes in the neighborhood so you can see what features and benefits and the location and things like that they have, okay? So if you can get the person you're talking to say what you already know, you have won, okay? Don't try to sound smart, try to win. That's the real deal. So how do you structure really good questions? How do you ask great questions, okay? The first place to start is listen. Like the example I just used with Brent, I know from listening to Brent, his daughters mean the world to him, all right? Okay? So they mean the world to him. So if I structured my question in such a way that it now involved his daughters and spending the day with him, now it makes sense. How many of you have read or listened to the book Emotional Intelligence 2.0? Not enough of you. Highly recommend it, okay? This whole thing is a masterclass in questions, but in emotional intelligence, what you're really trying to do is read the room. Read the room might be read the seller, the buyer. Anybody ever dealt with like a buyer that brings their parents? Okay, emotional intelligence. I gotta read the room. I gotta see how, is dad buying into this house? Does dad love this house? Is mom not digging it? Like, what is it? So I use emotional intelligence to read the room, and then I'm going to change the way I present myself and how I conduct myself based on what I'm reading out of them. And I have to do those two things to think ahead. Okay? Think about how many times you've gone and done listening presentations, and are you like these presentations that are being delivered to all of you right now have been worked on for hours and hours. I know Kayla was working on hers until God knows what hour of the morning to make sure she got up here and killed it. Do you put the same energy into a listing presentation? Do we get ready for those buyers like, I am seriously doing a presentation? What do I need to do to ask the right questions to win a listing agreement before I leave here today? And then the other is being outcomes focused, okay? Meaning sometimes when we have dialogues with people, it's just dialogue. I'm just listening to Chris Fritsch long enough to respond. I'm not listening. I'm just waiting for him to stop talking so I can tell him my opinion, okay? And that's not talking to people, and that's not being outcomes focused. I'm literally at that point just trying to get my word in, and that's not winning. So when we're staying outcomes focused, this is another huge problem in today's society. And I think most married people in the room are this is going to resonate. How many times have you said on a Friday night, Karen Head, where do you want to eat tonight? I don't know. Well, how about we go get sushi? Nope, I don't want that. How about we go eat Thai food? Nope, don't want that either. And we keep doing that. The problem we have in today's society is everybody is concrete in what they do not want. They're not concrete in what they do want. Okay? And that's where asking questions, we can unearth some of this to figure out, what do people really want? So here's the kind of thing, there's 3 different kinds of questions I'm giving you today in a structured way you can think about conversing with your clients, connecting with your clients, and actually changing the trajectory for your clients, which if you do that for your clients, what are you doing for yourself? Okay? So when you think about discovery questions, this can be done on the phone when you are first interviewing them. And I'm going to hit pause here for just a second. Kayla, as an example, this morning got on and talked about YouTube. What is YouTube for Kayla? It's one huge butterfly net. It's only there for her to create the conversations, okay? And then when they actually deliver and they show up, that's when I can have the conversation. So I want a high ROI when I actually engage with somebody who came in from a YouTube lead. If Lee Tessier hands off a lead to one of his team members, if Karen Head had somebody call and said, you know what, you were a rock star 10 years ago when you sold my house, and I got another one, and she hands that off to her team or she does it herself, we got to have a first fantastic conversation, which needs to be done by questions. And when I was younger, in a different stage of life, we had a drinking game. And we just called it questions, okay? And it would be like, I would say, I just go around the room. You know, like if there's 10 of us sitting there, I'd say, where did you go on vacation this year? And they can't answer me. They have to answer with another question. So I said, where did you go on vacation this year? And they turn around and say, wouldn't the Bahamas be fantastic this year? And the next person has to pick it up and say, ooh, if we went to the Bahamas, wouldn't it be awesome to go scuba diving? And we keep doing it. And of course, whoever can't do it, like respond with another question like that, well, they have to take a drink, okay? So some people were quicker than others, but it was a game we played when I was in my 20s. And it was something that kind of conditioned me for this kind of thing. And the more you're able to ask questions, the more you keep the conversation going. Because as a realtor, I know you've been told no countless times. And you have sometimes, do you feel like there's times where you're over there and your client's like way off the reservation? Like I go in these realtor Facebook groups, you know, and it's like all these memes making fun of buyers and sellers, right? But they all have a shred of truth to them. And when you have somebody that says, well, I want $875 for my house, I know the neighbor down the street sold theirs, and in your mind, you know, that house had another 2,000 square feet. That house was recently renovated. That house literally looks like a model home when you look at it from the outside. Yours, not so much, okay? But am I going to say that? No. I'm going to start asking questions. So when you're asking questions of new people that you're engaging with, what's most important to you about this move? So when I ask that kind of question, I'm going to find out, well, I'm doing the role reversal with my parent, and I need to move into a house, so I need to sell this one. I need to move into another house that's going to accommodate my mother-in-law, okay? Or, you know what? My kids have all gone off to college. I'm rambling around 5,000 square feet. This just don't do it for me anymore. I feel like I'm in a museum or an auditorium or something. It's just too big. I want to move down to like 2,500. Okay, I'm getting to know people. I'm learning people. I'm learning what motivates them. Okay, if everything were perfect, what would this move look like for your family? Or beyond price. Okay, and Craig was always, I always appreciated this because Craig, when he would meet with people like buyers, okay, on Lake Norman, people can come in, if they're coming in from another part of the country or even another part of North Carolina, they don't realize like Lake Norman's not cheap. Okay, and you have it in your brain, like you've talked yourself into it. You know, I'm not spending over $750 on a house on Lake Norman, but it has to be in Cornelius, and it has to be on a point looking at the main lake. Right? I mean, it's like we all know better. So Craig would ask these questions. What's most important to you? Okay, because if you want 750, is the location most important to you? Is the condition most important to you? Is the features most important to you? Because you got 4 things you can play with. Okay, what's most important to you? I'm not telling you no. I'm not telling Jason he can't have it. I'm going to ask him what's most important to you. Okay, well, if 750 is most important, then we're going to be like near Statesville, not near Cornelius. Okay, so we ask discovery questions to learn how to talk to people. The other is, do not try to change people's minds. If you find yourself trying to change their mind, they do not know what they're talking about. Liz, you're just like off the reservation. I don't know what you're talking about. If you try to change someone's mind, what do? They just dig their heels in. They're done. Like, they're not listening to you anymore. So instead, you ask questions to shift their way of thinking. That's all you're trying to do, okay? Because the more, you know, Kayla, and I'm going to use her again, it's like Kayla has spent time and money to put YouTube ads out there, and if all she does is, or YouTube videos, okay? She's coaching me from over there. Wrong word choice, see? But if you get in front of somebody and you try to change their mind, is all that effort you put into whatever you did for lead generation, gone. Because they're not listening anymore. They might be engaged, doing all this, but they're done. They're not listening to you anymore. So what happens if nothing changes in the next 6 months? So if you have that person that says, I'm not buying until rates come down. I'm not buying until, okay? What happens, and I actually like this last one, okay? Because you're going to start finding out who these people are. If another buyer made a strong offer on this house tomorrow, are you going to be upset about missing out on this home? Because let's just accelerate the inevitable, because that's what's going to happen. If you're saying, I'll just wait until the rates go down, I'll wait until they decide, okay, all it takes is one person. That's the thing. Like in today's world, we think, oh, all these people, everything's so hard. No, all it takes is one person to change the whole game. And if your deal is you wanted to live on that street with that house, with that pool, and all the other things with it in that school district, how upset are you going to be when I call you on Monday and tell you they accepted another offer? Okay? I can't guarantee it's going to happen, but there's a real possibility it's going to happen. So then the other type of question, 3 kinds of questions, are outcome kinds of questions. What's the next step you're ready to take? I think everything Girls with Grit came up here and did was fantastic, because a lot of that was geared towards this outcome thing, okay? They showed you great pictures about houses that had some severe condition issues, okay? But you can't go in and say, yep, it smells like cats and it looks like dog stuff. Okay? So you can't go in and say things like that, but you can say, what steps are you willing to take? How far are you willing to go? Are you going to allow me to become the shot caller? And here's another question I ask clients when I first start with them, and I want you all to incorporate this into your first conversation with every client. Because almost every client you deal with, pretty much every client, has been part of another transaction. Now, they might be a first-time home buyer, but their parents had a realtor, right? They had an experience somewhere. So this is a question I ask every client. In the past, when you've had dealings with real estate agents, what did you like that they did? And when you ask that question, you're finding out how far you can go and what you can do. I liked it when they bossed me around and called me on my stuff. Whoop, you just gave me permission. Okay? What did they do that you did not like? What pile did they step in that you don't want me to step in? Okay? There's where you learn how to avoid certain hot buttons. Okay? True leaders push with answers. They do not pull, true leaders do not push with answers. They pull with the questions, okay? You don't want to sound like the smartest person in the room all the time. You want to be the one to make other people look smart by asking really, really good questions. And this guy, okay, some of you are going to love him, some of you, not so much, I get it, okay? But you can't argue with the guy's results. And there's times where he's actually been chastised for a lot of different things that he's done, but you can't argue with the fact that the man's taken that football team to a lot of championships. He has not had a problem being the shot caller. He's asked a lot of really, really good questions of his coaches, of his players, and so forth. So if you're wanting to change the trajectory of your own real estate game and change the trajectory of your clients' lives, learn how to be a shot caller and ask really good questions. Thank you.